Today, I am chatting with Adam Green. He is a freelance reporter covering Arizona sports. Adam, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. So, they make a few moves this offseason. One of the most notable to me, they bring in Josh Sweat, reuniting with Jonathan Gannon. What can he bring to this team?
Ideally, a pass rush. Arizona last season, they weren't at the bottom of the standings or the league in the pass rushing department and sacks and everything, but they didn't have that one guy who could just get after the quarterback on a third down, third and long, obvious passing situations. So you bring in a Josh Sweat who had 8 sacks for the Eagles last season. His playoff heroics are pretty well known, his stats there. And someone who knows Jonathan Gannon, knows this defensive system. And that familiarity is huge, right? For a lot of coaches, they
Yes.
get players they know they can trust, they know they can count on. And is Sweat the premier pass rushing free agent out there? No, he wasn't. But he's a very good one, still in his prime, only 28 years old, and someone who just can step in right away and be that pass rusher. Arizona hasn't had one of those guys in a few years. They had J.J. Watt a couple of years ago, had those renaissance seasons last year before he retired. Years before that, you have someone like Chandler Jones, who was really good for Arizona. And when you have that guy who can just get after the quarterback, and yeah, you have other players who can do it, and Arizona's not going to just, it's not going to be Josh Sweat or nobody. But when you have that player who offenses have to kind of account for on third and long, or someone who Jonathan Gannon and this Nick Rallis can scheme their way to getting him, single blocked or even maybe free reign to get to the quarterback, it's a big get for them. So they went into this offseason knowing that pass rush was an important thing for them to
Mhm.
upgrade, and Josh Sweat certainly seems to fit the bill.
How much does this move help the development of Darius Robinson? It feels like this takes off some pressure of him in what will hopefully be his first NFL season, first full
Yeah,
season.
Yeah. Robinson last season, just nothing seemed to go right for him. Got on the field a little
Mm,
bit late, but there were high expectations from going in, and the injury and everything off the field didn't work out for him. Nothing that his fault. It's not like he had any off the field issues or anything like that, like sometimes
mhm.
people have. But certainly someone who, for an interior lineman, someone who is young, to have someone take some of that pressure off of him, because it goes for the same for all of them, right? When you have that one great pass rusher, if offenses are focused on that guy, making sure he's blocked, that leaves other people maybe single covered or something like that. So for someone like Darius Robinson, who the high hopes are still there for this team, they're
Mm.
they're really big. They're high on him. There's a reason they took him so high last season. So you bring him in, hopefully with a full offseason now, healthy, with all the other stuff behind him, and someone like Josh Sweat on the defensive front with him. That's someone who could easily take a big step forward. And it's not to say like a step from last season, because to your point, he was a rookie last season, but
Mhm.
in many ways, this next one will be his first season. So you get that extra offseason of development in this defense. There's no reason why you can't go from a guy who most people probably don't think about unless you were paying attention to the Cardinals, who has a real big impact next season.
What's your overall assessment of their free agency moves this year? How do you feel today versus their last game of the season?
You have to feel pretty good about it. They haven't lost a ton. Kaiser White, a linebacker, he hasn't signed elsewhere
Mm,
yet, but he was a mainstay for them. They liked him, but they decided to let him move on, or he decided to move on. Just one of those mutual things. It didn't seem like there was a big push to keep him for the money he wants to command. And otherwise, the Cardinals did a good job of keeping some of their key guys that they wanted to. Baron Browning, a linebacker they traded for last season. Kelvin Beachum, a lineman who's played a good amount. They picked up Jalen Jones from the Bears. Just a lot of depth guys. Zay Jones, and brought back Dalvin Tomlinson from the
mhm.
Browns. They bring him in, a veteran who has some ability too along the defensive line. So this is a team that went in. They're not going to be the big spenders like some teams are. They had a good amount of cap space. But if you look at the last season, the Cardinals really believe that they were, well, probably should have been a playoff team. They got out to a really good start. In the middle of the season, it looked like they were going to be primed for a playoff spot. They finished 8-9 and really just fell apart. And they didn't have any glaring needs necessarily. Like, they can always, when you're 8-9, you can always improve in a lot of areas, right? All across the roster. But for the Cardinals with Monty Austinford and his style, a lot of it's just building up that depth. Like we talked about Josh Sweat, Tomlinson, getting some of the bigger name guys, but they're not outspending teams like the Patriots, for example, or other teams out there who just have the big money to go after that one guy. The Cardinals weren't one guy away, but they were some pieces away. And then you figure another offseason maybe of health for Kyler Murray. He played out last season. He was good, but not great all year long. But when he's great, Arizona can be a really, really good team. You have Marvin Harrison Jr., the first round pick last season, number 4 overall. He had a good season, not a great season, but you have to expect he'll take a step forward. Michael Wilson, another receiver. Trey McBride, the tight end. So it's
Mhm.
like when you look at this team, What do they need to get to the next level? What do they need to go from 8-9 to a 10-win team, an 11-win team, maybe even a 12-win team into the playoffs? It's hard to say any one thing, but they definitely look to address a lot of those needs by getting a Josh Sweat, getting Tomlinson, guys along the defensive front seven who can rush the quarterback. Because when you have that, like Garrett Williams, one of their corners last season was very good. When you can get pressure, as everyone knows, it's a lot easier for your secondary. So for the Cardinals for the offseason, it's not fair to say they had no needs because every team has needs, especially when you're an 8-win club. But if you take some of the natural growth from some of their players that they really believe in, a lot of their youth movement they have, and you just add a couple of pieces here and there, like a Josh Sweat, then maybe that rising tide, all of a sudden he's out there. Now the defense looks that much better. And although
Mhm.
your secondary looks better too because you're getting a pass rush. So I think they're banking a lot on just natural improvement from their own guys, especially offensively. Defensively, they just look to add, a couple of pieces and see if that could be enough. And then you get BJ Ujulari back too,
Mhm.
from injury. So they have some pieces who they want to that they're going to rely on next season. Some from outside the organization, many from inside the organization. And the idea is that they're not going to be the big spenders. So what do you have? What can you work with and coach up? And that's where they're at right now. And I feel pretty good about them. Like they weren't bad last season. So it's like, can they take that step forward with what the moves they made and an offseason of health for some of these guys? I'd say they probably can.
Thanks for watching this episode on the Bet Canada channel. Hit that subscribe button because I've got more Cardinals content coming with Adam that you do not want to miss.